I think at the end of the day, consumers have just gotten smarter and they're so used to being oversold to constantly that sometimes letting people just click into your site, shop around, learn more, it ends up converting better.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of What's Working in E-Commerce. I'm your trusty host, Eagan Heath. I'm now a partner at Asymmetric Marketing. You can check out the work we do for clients at asymmetric.pro. And speaking of pro, I have a true landing page builder pro today, and I'm so excited to have him on. We have Ryan Doney from Pagedeck. He's a co-founder there, and he's been on the agency side before, and now he's in the SaaS world. He's going to show us how to build excellent landing pages for e-commerce. Ryan, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Eagan. I'm excited.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about your journey. I know you've been on the agency side. I think we talked about your building, maybe Shopify pages and things like that. And now you've got your own tool that builds D2C e-commerce pages. Tell us a bit about that journey and how you ended up here.
Yeah, if you want to go a little bit further back, I came up as a developer. Mostly I ran a small creative shop. I was freelancing for a while, doing a little bit of everything. I was building Shopify sites, some marketing sites. I worked on a crypto exchange for a little bit, just working on a little bit of everything. And then a good friend of mine, Zach Stuck, started an agency called Homestead Studio. That's why I wanted to come on and head up the technical side there. So did that for a few years. Obviously great to watch what they've built over there. Nothing but respect for Zach and the whole team over there. But then really once the iOS 14 thing happened and the e-commerce world collectively imploded and everyone started thinking more about CRO and landing pages, I started going more in that direction. And I left Homestead to start a D2C landing page agency called Adlunum. Did that for a few years while we were building Pagedeck. With my time both freelancing and at Homestead too, we just weren't stoked about the state of tooling for building landing pages for e-commerce specifically. So thought we could build something better. And I'm happy to talk about that if you're interested. But ran the agency for a year or two. And then since then, I've been full-time on Pagedeck.
Very cool. And what a great path too, from agency to SaaS. You worked with clients up close. You saw what worked and what didn't and what they needed. So I think you understand the need very well. You don't have to name names if you don't want to, but were there Shopify page builders you were building? Were there other tools you were building? And maybe you could just highlight where they fell short, or maybe that's something we'll cover later. But I just want to give a chance to talk about that. Of what's not, maybe not state of the art, but what are people using and what are the shortcomings that you see?
Totally. We've run the gamut of every possible way of building these things. In the beginning, it was totally custom, building new sections into your Shopify theme, even building like raw static HTML pages outside of Shopify just to make things faster on the page speed side of things. We did that. We used everything, the Shoguns and Replos and Pageflies and Gem pages. Everyone knows, I think, the spread of Shopify page builder apps these days. And the biggest thing for us, two things. Number one, all of the page builders in 2024 for the last few years seem to have gone so design focused that it was just taking so long to get a single landing page up and running. And over the last few years, I've found that the biggest mistake that brands are making when they're building these pages is they're turning, a single page, even if it's something simple like a listicle, it's taking 3-4 weeks just to ship these things and get them out the door. And you're tinkering with all the details like margin and padding, and you're spending hours like trying to center a text box, which if you've used any page builders, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. And at the end of the day, you're spending more time building and being a designer than you are testing and putting things in market and seeing what works. And to me, that's backwards. I think the way to win with landing pages is to launch quickly, get the messaging and the creative out there and see what sticks. Then you can go back and start tinkering and perfecting things down the line. But really what we wanted was something that super simple to get up and running. You don't have to be a designer to use it. If you're a media buyer, you don't have to learn Figma basically to use some of these tools. You can just hop in, paste in your content, your images, have the design done for you. And then the other big piece is page speed. I mentioned having built a bunch of these static HTML pages just for the sake of page speed to make sure that everything loads super quickly, which to me is, important for every site, obviously. I think everyone knows that at this point, but particularly when you're running paid traffic from like a TikTok or YouTube Shorts or like any like very quick feedback platform, if your post-click experience after that platform is really slow, you're sunk more so than even a normal site. Because if you think about your behavior on those things, you're swiping, everything's loading really fast. If you click off of the platform and that page takes a long time to load, all of a sudden your attention span is such that you're just going to bounce out of those pages. Everything we do at Pagedeck starts with page speed. If something's going to slow down the pages, we don't ship it.
Love it. What a great overview. A question I was not planning on asking you. I know huge fan of Homestead and what Zach and what everybody's doing over there. I know Shopify is really the platform. Anything to say about kind of other things, other platforms, WooCommerce or what have you, of Any experience with that or any opinions about those? And I imagine you've seen same sort of experience. If people are trying to put up a quick landing page, it's a whole project. But I wonder if you could comment on even Shopify competitors, if you have anything to say about that.
Totally. Shopify to me right now is where all the juice is. Like even in my world, in SaaS world, all of the new tech that's coming out is Shopify first. It seems because I think Shopify is so clearly winning that battle right now of bringing big brands on, being easy to get up and running for small brands. Shopify's winning, in short. Woo's been around for a long time. BigCommerce has been around for a long time. I've found that brands that are on those platforms are the ones who have a little bit more technical expertise in-house. Because with something like Woo, you have full customization options over everything, including the checkout. So you need to be a little bit more technical, I think, and there's a little bit more margin for error with maybe pushing something up to your website that's going to break everything. And you have to host it yourself, you have to do a bunch of extra steps. Still a place for it, I think. There's also something to be said for if you're selling a product that's maybe a little gray market, if you're selling like THC products or something like that, where Shopify's payment or Shopify payments doesn't necessarily allow you to do. That's the obvious choice. But at the end of the day, I think that all the juice is in Shopify right now. And that's just where everyone's building the cool tech. So that's where we started.
All right, love it. Thanks for that overview. That's great. I guess we should just get into it. If you've got a presentation of here's how to test, here's how to build landing pages, and whether people are using Pagedeck or not, I think a lot of these principles could really work for what's converting. You mentioned after the iOS 14 update, like meta ads were so much harder. People are opening on their phone. They may be in the social media browser thing, or if they click out, like it's just got to be fast if you want to make sales. All those points are well taken. Do you want to show us what's working and what kind of landing page is working, both when you were at the agency and then what you guys are building with Pagedeck?
Totally. I have a few things for you. Let me share this. And I'll try not to be too wordy with this because I can talk about this stuff all day, as you can imagine. But really, if you are going to get started with landing pages, like you're a brand, you're an agency, you're trying to get someone to start building landing page funnels for the first time. This is the framework that I push people towards because it's such a simple, I think, mental framework to wrap your head around. And like we call it the TAO framework, had to give it a name. It stands for template, angle, and offer. To me, these are the three factors that you need to consider when you're building your first page, or not even your first page, really any pages as you're going through and iterating on these things. And really it works like this. You concentrate on one of these factors at a time. The idea being that by changing one variable at a time, you're not introducing so many different things into the process that it gets harder to nail down. Is it the type of page? Is it the angle? Is it the offer? You want to really carefully segment what things you're testing on each iteration. That way you find something that works, you can stick with it and then test the other factors. Essentially it works like this. So template to me is anything to do with the layout and design of the page. So whether you're building a listicle, an advertorial, a shoppable page, the style of page is where it first starts. And then if you're doing things like changing the order of sections, swapping out a section for a new one, just changing the design in such a way that it makes the experience a little bit different. And one of the big keys that I have found when you're building these pages, no matter what type of page it is, could be a listicle, it could be a shoppable page, whatever it is, you really want to test first, to me, is the type of CTA on the page. What I mean by that is this. So I wonder if this link's going to work. Sweet. So no matter what content you have on the page, the way that people interact with your page and what you're pushing them to afterwards matters a ton. So a couple options, a buy box that can let people shop right on the page and kick people directly into checkout or to a cart page, versus something like having a grid of products, looks like a collection page, or this sort of faux buy box sort of PDP link thing. The design of it doesn't matter too much, but the point is test kicking people directly to checkout, so shortening the funnel, letting people buy as quickly as possible, versus letting people get onto your website and shop around a little bit more. I have found that this one factor can make or break an entire page. So even if you have a really strong layout, the really strong creative and really strong angle, if this section of your page is wrong, it can tank the entire thing. And I think there was a point where this was the default way of doing things. Putting a buy box on your landing page was the default way we built all these pages, because marketers for so long just bought into we need to short the funnel, reduce friction, get people to buy as quickly as possible. But I think at the end of the day, consumers have just gotten smarter and they're so used to being oversold to constantly that sometimes letting people just click into your site, shop around, learn more, it ends up converting better even on the front end if you're looking at a last click basis. So to me, this is the first test you should run. And which one you choose, I think just depends on the store, depends on how you have your products merchandised. But at the end of the day, your first test should be the type of page and whether you're kicking people into checkout or driving them to your site. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. And just to say more on the PDP link or kind of that last one. sometimes there's listicle style stuff, or someone might click a link on a social media ad. It really just looks like an article, 5 ways to save on this, 5 ways to do this. They're reading about it, and then it leads them to the product. Like you've educated them from how to solve their problem to here. Now you can go over here and buy it. Does that fall under a P2P link there as you have it?
Yeah, 100%. I think exactly what you said about education is what we're getting at here. I think the landing page strategy that works for most brands now has shifted from shortening the funnel, getting a purchase as quickly as possible, to educating, addressing people's problems, how your product solves them, and letting them learn more and control a little bit more of the user journey.
That's great. I love it. I know you've got more to show. We can keep trucking, but this is a great framework. And I assume when someone clicks an ad, the branding is going to match between the ad, this sort of initial landing page, and then the checkout or wherever they're taken after they click, right?
Totally. I think that's important, is no matter what you're using to build your pages, just make sure it just looks like another page on your website, whether it's a page inside of Shopify or something on a subdomain. Just making sure the design system is dialed in, all the UI elements are dialed in, so everything feels cohesive between your landers and your website.
Love it. Love it. All right. What else can you tell us? What do you see working, or what should people think about as they're building e-commerce landing pages?
Yeah, so I'll hop back here for 1 second. Once you've tested type of page, think about messaging and creative. What I mean by that is, even if you're purely thinking about the hero section, the first thing they hit on the page, what is your H1? What is your headline? What is the angle that you're going after? And you hear people say, match your landing page to your ad creative. It doesn't have to be one-to-one, just like copy paste your ad headline over onto your lander. But the difference between best, if I'm going to go some of the examples here, best laundry detergent for eco-conscious moms, best blanket for hot sleepers. That type of framework can work really well. And it's often a really easy way to echo what you're saying in your ad. But even beyond like headline testing, duplicating your landing pages and having a seasonal version, if you have a Mother's Day sale, Father's Day sale, Black Friday sale, just tweak the messaging a little bit to match what people are seeing in the ad. Same if you have influencer pages. The point being that you have a single landing page, the layout works. Now take that and duplicate it, change up the messaging and change nothing else. That's a huge swing that you can take that makes a big difference. And finally, just to hit on the offer section, I second to the user journey piece, the kind of buy box versus link to your site piece. The offer, I think by far, is the second biggest factor in whether or not a lander is going to work. And what I always tell people is, even if you're not comfortable doing a discount or a bundle or something like that, just have something, even if it's free shipping or free returns, just have some sort of like objection busting carrot in that landing page just to get people to click through one more time. People are so used to that at this point. We're all inundated with Amazon free 2-day shipping that you got to give them something, give them a reason to keep clicking through the next step in the landing page. And really that's it. Test the type of page, test what the angle is, test what you're offering them. And if you choose one thing at a time and just keep testing stepwise through those things, you're going to find a winner.
Love it. Yeah. And part of the reason Amazon and other big companies are as big as they are is they run more tests. So I love what you're talking about here of get to the test faster, build landing pages quickly, and test these pieces. This is just all excellent frameworks, Ryan. I'm curious on what is success when we're testing it. Are we going by purchase? Are we going by they click to the next page? How do we know if a page won or passed the test?
At the end of the day, we want people to buy stuff, right? So I think purchase is the North Star for all of these pages. And I like to, if we're talking about like tracking performance, even if you're just using GA, you're just going by last click data, I think that is the simplest way to measure success on these things, because otherwise we're getting into an attribution conversation that is already so muddy, so murky. And I think at the end of the day, you want to know in a vacuum how many people hit the page and bought something in the same session. And then all the other attribution stuff that you try and layer into that is just going to work itself out. And you can worry about that at the ad level. So purchases for sure. I have seen some brands do optimizing for an email sign up if you're trying to build a list, or maybe going off of a lifetime value play where you can then hit people up at Klaviyo afterwards. So there are situations where optimizing for something other than a purchase can work. But if you're just getting started, get people to buy something.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. Do you have some examples you want to show us? Or what's the next place we should look here?
Totally. Let's take a look at some examples. So I don't think there's anything else too important in here. I'm going to take a quick spin through. Yeah, I can share this deck with you too, Eagan, if you want to put it in the show notes for everyone or anything. But
thank you so much. Yeah.
I think if you're going to get started, choose between a listicle format, which I'll show you, an advertorial format, like an article style long form section, which I'm not going to spend too much time on given how much time we have here. Because For what it's worth, I think advertorials are a little bit harder to get right and often take more testing. So if you're going to run an advertorial, commit to 4 or 5 iterations before you decide to kill that or not.
Yeah, I love it. We can slow down this part, Ryan. Show us each of these because I like that these are on mobile, and because that's where a lot of the traffic is going to be coming, if not most, from paid social. So maybe can we go back to one? Maybe just talk us through each of these. Maybe talk about the things you like because I think this is valuable. Thank you.
Yeah, we can actually. I have this page pulled up in a tab so you can take a look at it. But if you're going to get started and you have no design experience, no experience otherwise with landing pages, build a listicle. Everyone's seen these 5 reasons why pages where it's a headline, 5 sections with an image and a short piece of body copy, and then a CTA. That is so easy to implement for one. It works for a ton of different brands, so there's less wiggle room for not doing the right type of page, like there might be with an advertorial. And it forces you to really think about the messaging, your copy, and your creative, which to me is the most important part of doing this. Even if your page is so simple design-wise, I've seen really simple listicles just crush for brands, and it's just one inline design of headline, section, CTA, nothing else. And this one's a little bit more designed. Take that for what it's worth, but I pop this in mobile here. And this is about iPhone width.
Reasons why this guilt-free iced coffee is taking over in 2024. So it's news story style. This looks like an article. I'm not even thinking there's going to be an add to cart button here if I'm a consumer, right?
And this is sitting halfway between listicle and advertorial, I think, a little bit. So I'm cheating a little bit with this example, but this type of format is awesome. And just look at what's above the fold here. We have a headline that's great, really engaging. We have some scarcity, some urgency building up here. There's a timer. You can make the argument one way or another for whether or not timers are cool, but it clearly works really well for this brand. They've been running it for a long time. I'd recommend everyone looking at Javi's ad library because they crush. Their landing pages are great. And just as I scroll through here, each reason has headline, an image, and a short piece of body copy. I don't think you need to overthink this at all because it does 2 things for you. It forces you to focus what the most important things are that people want to hear. And if you look at if you have Microsoft Clarity or Hotjar or something else installed, you can go into your heat maps and see how far people are scrolling down the page. And you can make sure that the most important reasons on your page are high up on the page so people are interacting with them more. And it's super easy on this design to rearrange, swap out new things. So that's it. You can stay summer fit year round, make healthy dupes in seconds. Perfect protein coffee. You can see pretty clearly like the story they're trying to tell here. Like it's easy, it's healthy, it tastes great. Pretty easy thing to try and wrap your head around when you're writing the copy for this page. As I scroll down here, they have this CTA section that is stuck in the middle of the page. Honestly, most of these listicles are 5 reasons, then they stop. This one goes on a little bit further, which I think is an interesting thing to test, and not a lot of brands do it. But again, go and look at your heat maps, see how far people are scrolling down the page. Because often the people who are scrolling further, even if there's fewer of them, those are the money customers. Those are the ones who are going to convert and have a higher lifetime value because they're more engaged.
And it's really that sticky CTA in the footer. It's hanging out there. Anytime they want to hit the big old button, they can.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a good tactic too, is always make sure there's a CTA in view on these pages, whether it's a sticky element like this or whether you're just putting buttons in, call it every other section. I don't think you want to spam a CTA button on every single section on the page. Make sure people can click through when they're ready to click through. But as I'm scrolling through here, this is just so simple. And that's the beauty of these listicles to me, is you can spend all of your time copywriting and finding the perfect image, and then the page just builds itself from there.
Yeah, what a great example. Thanks for showing this. I'm pulling up there. This is for people who want to see it, then it's Javi Coffee, Javy. And yeah, great website to check out, and then check out their social ads too. Very cool. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, totally.
Love it. Let's see, you had some others in there too, or we had another one coming up was it a variation on this, or what was the next one?
Let's look at one more. It's a different style of page. And I'll look at this one on desktop. It's a little bit easier to see. This is more of what I would call a shoppable style page, where it has a buy box on here. You can scroll through all your variants and kind of shop directly from the page. But the formula is pretty similar, where you have a really engaging headline, I have social proof, and I have a very easy sort of what are my 3 best value prop section. And one of the things that we've seen work really well actually is starting with a listicle page, taking the 3 or 4 most engaged with sections and turning that into a little individual section on a different style of page, because those are the pieces of messaging that are resonating really well. So just put those right up front. And for what it's worth, this is a really great format for getting started. We have a hero section with short headline, short subheadline. You have social proof. After that, just get your reviews, again, right up above at top of the page where you can see in your heat maps, everyone's seeing them. And then your best value props from your listicle. And then from there, there's a little bit more wiggle room for what's going to make sense. But I think those are the most important elements of the page. You have your hook, you have your social proof, you have your most important stuff about your product. And then from there, you can start to build in some of these other elements. And to the first point that we had about testing the different like CTAs on the page, it'd be really easy to take this exact landing page and only change this section, test a version with the buy box, and then test a version that has that click through to the product page so people can shop around for other parts of your site. So if it were me and I was testing this page, that would be my first move, is starting with the buy box and split testing it with a version that goes to the site.
Love it. Ryan, a thought just occurred to me. If you had to guess, how many landing pages do you think you've tested?
Oh God, in the last 2 years, it is more than 500, I would guess. It's cheating and counting all the iterations and everything, but it's quite a lot.
Yeah. So you've seen a lot, and then you'll see the results, you'll see the winners. And so you've got in your mind a lot of experience wrapped into every one of these recommendations you're making.
Yeah. We just want to get people wins as quickly as possible. And it's not always easy. I think right after iOS 14, the narrative became just by virtue of you launching a landing page, it was going to save your whole ad account. It's a little bit harder than that. You have to commit to testing a few iterations. But if you do that and you step through the different styles of pages and the different types of messaging and the different types of offers, I promise you'll find a win.
Love that. And I was interested too. You said just use GA4 as well. There's all these fancy premium tools now to try to get the multi-touch tracking, but even just good old-fashioned last click and see if you can do it with GA4. Sometimes you're judging winners based on that. Is that right?
Totally. And for us, looking only on the post-click side, that it makes it a little bit easier because we're less concerned about what's going on in the ad account. And because it becomes so hard to pick apart, is it the ad driving results or is it the landing page driving results? Ideally, you can, when you're starting with landing pages, you take your best performing ad, you just spin up a new ad set that's going to the landing page instead, and then split test that ad link, have 50% of your traffic going to the landing page and 50% going to wherever you historically have driven traffic to, whether it's a PDP or a collection page or wherever. Just eliminate as many variables as you can, because then you can just look in GA. Coming from this ad campaign, what was the conversion rate on the landing page and what was the conversion rate on our other page, our PDP? You're very quickly going to see which one is converting better.
By purchase conversion.
Yeah, and GA4 is dumb because they have renamed a bunch of things. I think just this last week, they changed the conversion rate metric to like session key event rate or something like that. So you might have to hunt around for what it is, but it's in there, I promise.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. This is great. What else should people be considering, or what else should they look at as they're building these e-commerce landing pages?
I think the biggest thing is just to launch something quickly, and that's where we started. No matter what tool you use or what style of page you're building, give yourself 3 days. In 3 days, you should be able to write your copy, find your images, and get the page up and running. If it's taking longer than that, you should probably reevaluate how you're trying to build the pages out. At the end of the day, you don't know if it's going to work or not. The entire point of this is that you get something up, and if that creative angle hits, that style of page hits. And if it doesn't, you can start to move around a little more nimbly. I think if you are spending weeks and weeks getting a single landing page up, you're going to be so underwater for so long, it's not even worth it.
It's just too slow. In the internet age, we got to be able to put internet pages really quickly. I
100%.
Fully agree. That's great. We'll make the pitch for Pagedeck. I don't know if you want to show us in the tool or even in the slide deck. Or this is a great time to make the case of, we see how important this is. We see what great ones look like. I'd love to see the tool or just know more about it's Shopify stores, right? This integrates with them and they can build landing pages quickly. Make the case here, Ryan. Would love to see it.
Totally. I will show you one or two things. Right now, we're just Shopify. We will be moving out to WooCommerce and BigCommerce and all the other
That's great to hear.
e-commerce platforms out there. But for now, just Shopify. Let's take a look at this. So essentially how Pagedeck works is it's less about dragging and dropping individual things on the page. And instead, we give you pre-built sections. So you do two things. You sign up, you build what we call your theme, add your brand colors and fonts and buttons and all of that. The idea is you do this one time, and all of this kind of filters down into our sections library. So it looks like all of our sections were built for you. So then in practice, that looks something like this, where I have like all the standard landing page layouts, right? Like I have my buy box and reviews and an FAQ section. And you can open up our sections library and see all the choices we have for you. We're always adding more. The goal is to keep pushing out new templates and new sections every month. So over time, you just have so many choices that you don't necessarily care about having such granular like design control over everything. So you can just go grab a new section. My favorite feature are the buy box sections that we have. So you can see I have in here, it's a lot built into one section, right? I have an image carousel and my variants and subscriptions. If I want to say, build this landing page, but for a different product, I don't want to have to wire all this up. So I'm going to show you how this connects to Shopify. So I'm going to duplicate this section and I'm going to delete the original one. And in order to connect this to my site, I'm going to go to the brand's main product page. Which one is this? So this is the detergent product. Let's go to a different one. How about the sheets product? So all I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the URL from up here. And then I'm going to go back to Pagedeck, head into my buy box. And then right where it says product link, I'm going to paste that in there and sync it up. And right out of Shopify, I have all my images. I have all my variants. I have my subscription widget. And if I turn the subscription widget on and I want to add this to cart, I automatically get kicked into my Shopify checkout with the right variant, the right subscription plan. Everything just works. So there's so much under the hood here that would take such a long time to build in other landing page builders. And even something like this image carousel, if you have a bunch of big images in Shopify, that can slow down your page. What we do is on our end, we optimize and lazy load and do all of that good stuff to keep the page fast. You just have to link your product and publish it, and it just works.
That's awesome. I was literally about to ask dumb questions and you were just hitting them as we went. It was like, I don't have to find that link of how do we get that product in the cart and jump to the checkout. Like it just does it. That was super awesome.
Yeah, I've given the spiel a few times, so I like to think I can answer all the questions in one go.
Yeah, that's great. On GA4, on the Metapixel, things like that, maybe talk about the integration that way of any cross-domain tracking things there. Should the analytics, should we be thinking we're going to look somewhere else for that piece? Or do I see A/B test winners in here? I just wanted to ask. I was just curious.
Totally. So two things. On the tracking side, if I head over to, we call your site settings, we have a native integration for GA4, which is nice. The important part is that you just connect the same GA4 property as you're using on your Shopify site. Pagedeck's on a subdomain. It's part of the reason why it's so fast is because we're not weighed down by all the other stuff in your Shopify theme. And if you have Triple Whale, North Beam, Elevar, anything like that, just paste those tracking codes into here. And they'll get shot out to all of the landing pages that you create automatically. So pretty easy. The same way that you would install things into the head of your other landing page builders, just pop them in here and you'll be good to go. On the A/B testing side, this is still in beta, so you're getting a first look at it. But we have a native A/B testing feature that I think is really cool because what this lets you do is, let's say I want to set up a new test. I can pick a single URL that I want to run ads to. So my test URL. Then I pick two landing pages in Pagedeck that I want to A/B test. Could be two totally different landing pages. Could be the same page, but duplicated with a different headline, whatever you want to do. It would be a different page, but there's only one published here. Bear with me.
No, this is
cool
great.
Part about
this is what I was looking for. This is awesome.
Totally. So the cool part about this is two things. The first is what we do is when you run traffic to this URL, it doesn't split the traffic with a redirect. It just renders inside of that page either the content for page A or the content for page B, meaning that there's no page speed impact. Because most of the time, if you're using like a VWO or convert.com or something,
Flickr,
there's a Flickr. It just all gets loaded on the server and shot down. So it's really fast. The second thing is once you have a winner, you can just pop this URL into the winning variant. You don't have to go back into your ad account and re-enter the learning phase or anything like that. The goal is just to build this so media buyers could use it really easily. You don't have to go and get a separate app. You don't have to plug in a bunch of other scripts that are going to slow down your page. You just pick two pages and go. It just works.
I love that. I'm just going to say it again so people who are as slow as me can grab it. You're running paid social traffic to this page. You're doing A/B tests inside the tool. If you're going to change your test, there's nothing to go change in your ad account. You've still got the same URL as your final destination URL. And then the ads are just running in the landing page builder itself.
Exactly. So you can do whatever you want in your ad account. We just want to have control after we have control post-click. So you're testing your landing pages only and not worrying about spinning up new ad sets or anything like that. Yeah.
And then I apologize if I missed this beta feature then. Let's say the test is run or it's been running a few weeks. Where do I see that result? Do I go in GA4 or Ads Manager, or is there a place in Pagedeck to check that out?
We do that right in here. So
okay, that is what you're saying.
It's going to be empty because there's no data in here yet, but you'll have a table with both landing pages and seeing all your standard on-page stuff like bounce rate and session duration and conversion rate, everything you want to see. And then you'll have some charts for the difference between the two variants so you can very easily see which one's the winner. that's the piece that we're just wrapping up over the next week or so here. But we have a few brands using it. It's been going well so far.
Very cool. This is amazing. Ryan, any parting shots? You know a lot about UX, CRO, landing page building, all the above. If someone's an e-commerce marketer or brand owner, anything you think they should really consider as they think about their D2C landing pages?
Yeah, I think it's just shifting your mindset to testing and not just expecting to throw up one thing and have it work right away. Whether it's landing pages, whether it's stuff on your site, think about it more like your ad account. We're so used to just spinning up new creatives, new messaging every week in your ad account. Take that same mindset and put it into your landing pages where this week you're going to test 2 new versions and you're going to do that week over week. And I promise you, if you get in the groove of testing iterations on these landing pages, it's going to increase your conversion rate.
Yeah, that's a great thing. I'm going to recommend everybody check out, this is pagedeck.com, correct? Just awesome tool. I can't wait to see this myself. I know you guys are trusted by some serious agencies. I imagine Zach and the team at Homestead Studios are doing this. Feel free to flex. You've got some other very good D2C marketers using this. Anyone of note or anyone that you can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, you can see a few logos in that section there. The Stasher Bag one that I showed you is one of ours. The Brightland page on there is one of ours. A very big chef-backed cookware brand is on the tool, which I'm excited about. We have some big brands using it, but the thing that I like about it is brands of any size can just spin up these landing pages without needing a design team and a copywriting team. Just you hop in, you add your colors and fonts, and you pick a template, and you can just go for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for making this, Ryan. I know you've distilled a lot of learnings, a lot of wisdom into it, and I think D2C marketers are going to get a ton of value out of it. Super excited about what you're doing, and just congratulations on what you set out to do here. And I know it's going to be a huge success as you go. Anything else of where can people find you? Where should they reach out to you? Yeah, feel free to give any parting shots on where people can check you out online.
Totally. Yeah. If you want to check out Pagedeck, it's pagedeck.com. I'm on Twitter most of the time. I'm at the Ryan Doney on Twitter. So if you have any questions, DM me there. Always happy to chat about CRO, landing pages, just help people out. All
right. Ryan Doney, co-founder of Pagedeck. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing what's working in e-commerce.
Yeah, thanks, Eagan. It was fun.